One Question is brought to you by Turnkey Search, a top industry search firm since 1996.
Greetings, this is Tai Brown and welcome to One Question. Our guest today is Coach Todd Berry. Coach Berry is the Executive Director of the American Football Coaches Association. Thanks for joining us, Coach.
My pleasure, Tai. Thanks.
Now, Coach, within the NCAA process, the legislative process, I'm not sure how many people out in the college athletic space know how much input the football coaches have in terms of making decisions and ideas. Can you give us an idea of how that legislative process works and how involved are the FBS football coaches?
Yeah, I think that obviously with the formation of the Oversight Committee, the NCAA Oversight Committee, things changed pretty dramatically. We've had to shift and adjust to that time frame. Our board of trustees will meet in May to discuss issues, bring them forth before for me to take to the Oversight Committee. That generally will happen in the June meeting, and then in the June meeting there'll be discussions that follow up into the October meeting. After that, the October meeting, they make a formal request of the Division I Council. The council then either approves for it to move forward or not. That goes to the NCAA membership in January. Then once in January, membership has a chance to vote. There's a period for comment, and then obviously legislation can happen in April. And one of the things that we want to do as coaches is to be kind of an active partner in those things that are impacting the game of football, from student-athlete welfare to controls of practice times and so on. And I think that our group did a good job in last year's January National Coaches Convention in relation to understanding that there is this new opportunity for us, and so it was much more of a business convention maybe than what it necessarily been in the past, as we discussed and vetted issues and then voted on them, and based off of the feedback that we're getting, we're going to have a great turnout at this year's convention, partly because they want to have a voice.
Well, now that process you described is interesting. It's almost, I guess you would say, coaches could possibly come up with ideas and then within a few months span, vote on the ideas they came up with.
That's correct. You know, if we can make sure that there's obviously enough support. We have obviously a very, very diverse group of universities out there, and it's very difficult for any legislation for it to be perfect for everyone. It's just almost an impossibility. And so I think that it's important that we look at football as a whole rather than our own institutions, and look at what we know is best for the student athletes across the board. And I think our coaches have done a good job of trying to take their own university hat off for the most part and say this is good for football. But certainly it is a diverse group again, and there are an awful lot of challenges out there. We haven't been actively engaged, I think, as a group in some of this legislative process because of the way the NCAA was formatted, and so consequently, these are new opportunities for us. And obviously, every level has representatives within our board of trustees,
right,
and that's the best conduit in relation to making sure that if a coach has an idea to get that information either to us here at the AFCA office or through their own leadership in relation to the board of trustees.
You touched on something there in terms of everybody has their own interest and their own pressures at their own universities. You know, usually in the media, we see legislation has passed or a new rule is going into the game, and then you hear 3, 4, 5 coaches come out and they voice their opposition and they act like they haven't heard anything about it. Is it fair to say that everybody in the FBS has an opportunity to have say-so, to vote yay or nay, or either way on the legislation that appears in front of them?
Yeah, obviously part of our role is to make sure that our coaches are not just educated in X's and O's, but they're educated on some of the legislation that's out there. I don't know that our coaches have always shown as much interest in that, or they've been tainted by their lack of abilities to be engaged in the past. And so, again, they don't pay much attention to it. And I think now, again, with the formation of the Oversight Committee, there are more opportunities for us to get engaged. But it moves faster. and so consequently, the response time is maybe not as long and arduous as what it used to be with the NCAA, which might take 7 years to get something passed, and then the whole problem would change by that point in time. Now everything's more instantaneous, and I certainly appreciate that everybody's going to have differing viewpoints. The one thing I did feel very comfortable with coming out of last year's convention, we did have active engagement, not by everybody, but by a good majority. And because we did vote on these things, then I know that we were representing the ideas of our coaches with the NCAA, and the NCAA had a chance to listen to that. Was everyone happy? There's not going to be any point in time where everybody's going to be happy, but I think we made great strides.
Well, Coach, I've seen firsthand how tirelessly you work to make sure everybody has a chance to voice their opinion and vote either way with the membership and try to get a majority so that you can protect the game, protect the profession of football coaching and college football and sports as a whole. So I'm sure everybody appreciates, especially the coaches, what you do here at AFCA.
Well, that's our job. That is to be the coach's advocate. And I certainly try to take my own experiences and because I had an opportunity, fortunately, quite honestly, to coach at lots of levels from Division II all the way through FBS and serving a lot of different roles. So I have some empathy towards, I think, a lot of different ideas. But I try to take most of those out of the equation and make sure that I'm kind of playing devil's advocate with our coaches in the sense that let's have these discussions and let's have great conversations about them. Let's be able to defend our answers, and then whatever they decide, then that's what I'm going to advocate for.
All right. Well, Coach, this is excellent insight, and I definitely appreciate you taking the time to talk to us today.
My pleasure, Ty. Thank you.
That was Coach Todd Berry, Executive Director of the American Football Coaches Association, and this is Tai Brown signing off.
And that's today's One Question, brought to you by Turnkey Search, a top industry search firm since 1996. One Question is designed to give D1 Ticker subscribers valuable insights on how executive leaders in college athletics think about key issues on their respective campuses, in their departments, or within their leagues and conferences. One Question is brought to you by Turnkey Search, a top industry search firm since 1996.